Make sure you know your vision, know where you want to go, know what success looks like when you get there.
Is your current success putting a lot of demands on you? If you're good at what you do, and you are, then everyone wants you. But that's no way to scale. If you're delivering spectacular results, you should be commanding higher fees, working with only the best clients. Welcome to the Hands Off CEO podcast, where world-class agency owners and consultants learn how to fully monetize their expertise and scale profits by doing less. Here's your host, Mandi Ellefson.
Hello, this is Mandi Ellefson from Hands Off CEO podcast. Have you ever wondered, how do I know if this is the right scale plan for me? How do I be able to evaluate if this is the right direction for my company? So that's a really great question. And I want to give you some criteria on how you can evaluate that. And before I do, I want to share with you a situation that I was in at one point. My sister and I were going down to New York City. We lived in Connecticut at the time, and it's a relatively short drive to get there, but there's so much traffic that it just makes a lot of sense to ride the bus. And I don't know if you've spent much time on the East Coast, but if you have, you'll know that they have this whole network of buses, and it's actually very convenient to be able to hop from city to city when otherwise it can be quite difficult to travel through, all of the headaches of traffic. But these buses are also relatively inexpensive, and it's quite different, the experience there where you ride on a bus to maybe commute, and a lot of ordinary, normal people ride on buses. Whereas if you live on the West Coast, you might know Greyhound buses is kind of the experience you have is sitting next to somebody who may have not showered for 2 or 3 weeks. So East Coast bus experiences, very, very different than West Coast bus experiences. One of the things that I found out living over on the East Coast. Anyway, we took this mega bus. It was like $1. It was so cheap to get down to New York City and back. We had a great time. We spent some time at Times Square, and we saw a musical, and we just had so much fun. And we get back to get on our bus at about 10 o'clock at night, a couple days later, and we're all getting on the bus and we're going through the lights of the city. It's so busy. As we're going through New Jersey, there comes to a place where there's 2 different ways to go. And this bus driver, he didn't seem to know what he was doing. But the funny thing is that there were a number of other people in the bus that did know what they were doing. So we had a little bit of a backseat driver bus situation where the bus driver needed to go one way to Connecticut, and the other way was going to take us somewhere else that we didn't want to go. So as we're going down this busy road, we have like a number of people behind the bus driver, saying left, left, turn left, turn left. And he turns right. And then we go down this long road in New Jersey, and it starts to get darker and darker and darker. And before we know, all the light we see is the headlights of the bus. And 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes, and it turns into 20. And we just can't find a place to turn this bus around. So eventually the bus driver finds a place to turn around, turns around, it gets right back on the freeway for where we were at, and the turn comes up again. The bus driver still didn't know the direction to come because he was coming up to it. He was like right in the middle of it. And then now, instead of just like a few people behind him chanting left, now there's like 20 people behind this bus driver screaming, left, 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 turn left, turn left. And like at the last minute, he swerves over to the left, and we're saved. We're back on track to our home in Connecticut. And isn't this a lot like our visions in our business, where if you're not clear on the direction you want to go, it's really easy to take detours. It's really easy to not know which turns to take. And really what this bus driver needed was a GPS or some kind of roadmap that would be able to direct him to the place where we wanted to be, which was Connecticut. And somewhere along the lines, he seemed to have forgotten the direction we needed to go. Thankfully, we did get back, but not without some extra time, not without some extra frustration. And that's how it is in our business if we don't have a really clear vision. So the first thing, in order to be able to evaluate if it's the right scale plan, is we have to get really clear about where do we want to go? Where do we want to take the business? And not from this place of like, oh, well, maybe I hope I can kind of get there. No, like, where do you actually really want to go? Where do you want to take the business? 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Look ahead, look at where you really want to go. And that way you can have a better idea of what kind of plan you need to get there. So if you're looking at, just adding a couple $100,000 to your business, that doesn't require a very robust plan. That doesn't require a whole lot of changes, in fact. And you're going to be able to find that in a lot of places, actually. That's really not that difficult of a thing to do. But if your company is, let's say, the low seven figures, and you're looking at, I want to be able to scale my company to 5 million, or I want to scale my company to 15 million, that's a different kind of plan. That's a different kind of approach. Now you know that you need a different type of strategic plan. And now you know that you need to be looking for a roadmap that actually is going to take into consideration your business model. It needs to take into consideration what you want your life to look like, what you want your lifestyle to be like, how many hours you want to be working a week, what kind of profit you want to be taking home, how you want to be structuring your business so that, it builds it as an asset, perhaps. So it gives you an idea for what you're actually looking for in a strategic plan. So when you have the right vision, and then you can select the right roadmap. And then when you have the right roadmap, it makes it very easy to know which turns to take, or rather it makes it very straightforward to know which turns to take. Scaling a company is not easy. I just want to make that very clear. We can simplify it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. But it can be fun. It can be enjoyable. It can be very invigorating. But if you want easy, go get a job. But the right roadmap is going to give you a clear direction to know which turns to take, and also be able to avoid those detours and to avoid those extra challenges that needlessly sap your energy and take you a lot longer to accomplish your vision and take a lot more expense to be able to get to the same place. So in summary, make sure you know your vision, know where you want to go, know what success looks like when you get there. That's one of the things that we see a lot, actually, is that CEOs will be able to grow their company to a certain place and they hit a certain goal, but they look around and they see their business not really serving their life in the way that they hoped it would. So sure, they have this multi-million-dollar company that's successful and they have a good amount of money that they're taking home, but it's at the expense of them working 50, 60, or sometimes maybe even 70 or more hours per week. Really, at that point, it's just not worth it. And it's also can be this challenge because you can see so much growth opportunity in your company, but it can really limit what you see as possible as a vision for you if you believe that you're going to have to do more of that to be able to accomplish the next stage in your company. And the reality is you don't have to, but you have to be able to design that intentionally right from the beginning so that the more growth you have, it doesn't mean that you're going to get more and more stuck in the business. So make sure you have that vision, make sure you know what success looks like, and then go and evaluate the right growth plan aligned with where you actually want to go. And then you could just be looking at who's already done that, who has already been able to successfully get to where I have been, who has a track record for helping us take us there. And also, very importantly, make sure that you're looking at the growth model that you want to reach. So if you're scaling a custom agency service business or a consulting service, you understand that there are some nuances that have to be addressed in order to scale your company, because it's not like a SaaS business. It's not like an e-commerce business. It's not like a retail business. It's not like one of these companies that are actually quite straightforward to scale. Those companies it's just about getting the profit margins right, getting the systems right, and getting the people right. Pretty simple, straightforward. And the marketing channels. So that's a more simple, straightforward. When it comes to services, there's a lot more variables to that. And one of the biggest things is that when you are selling services, a lot of times your clients are buying because of you, because of your charisma, because of your 10, 20 years of experience. They want you. So how do you be able to scale a company when the reason why your clients are buying is because of you and because they expect you to be part of that? Well, you need to have a different kind of model. You need to be able to have a roadmap that's going to address those things. So if you're looking for that roadmap, if you want to be able to add millions of dollars to your business, if you're at a place where your company is really at least at $500,000 a year, but really more $1 million plus, we have this growth planning workshop that we're going to be doing. We only do it one time per year. And I'd like to invite you to come and be part of it. So if you are interested, you can come do your growth planning with me and with my team. and we'll actually benchmark you against other companies at your stage. We're going to be able to help you see what are the pieces that you need to have in place in order to get to the next level? What's missing? We're going to assess your business. You'll actually be able to use the same assessment that our clients do to be able to help you see, based on the 5 different areas of your company, where are you stacking up next to other agencies like yours? How are you measuring up? What's your actual real profit? We're going to be talking about these things. How do you be able to increase your fees in a way that actually doesn't turn away your best clients, but will attract them? How do you be able to increase your fees? We're not talking about little tiny, like 10% increases. We're talking about like 50 to 600% price increases. Now that sounds far-fetched. It sounds maybe unreasonable. And if you're thinking that, great. It is unreasonable. Most companies can't do it. It's not possible for the run-of-the-mill type of consulting agencies that have a boring service that it isn't really adding a lot of value in the world. But if you're adding a lot of value in the world and you know that you're probably underselling, you're probably leaving money on the table, we can show you how to be able to take a lot more of that home. So if you are at a place where you would like a better roadmap to scale, where you were evaluating, what are my options? How can I be able to scale in a way where we can increase profits? How do I be able to become more hands-off in my business? How do I be able to stop leaving so much money on the table when we're making offers to clients because you know you are providing such great services, but you just don't know how to price it in a way where you're not going to turn away your best type of clients? That's what we're going to cover in this workshop. We're going to be talking about what your real profit is. We're going to actually calculate that right there. What we have found is most consulting agencies they actually think their profit is higher than it really is. We'll be talking about why that is, and we'll be able to also look at where you're measuring up next to other agencies and what numbers should you really be shooting for so that you can really maximize the success of your business. This is for agencies 7 figures and up. If you're close to that, if you're $500,000 and up and you're really on your way to that, you can definitely apply for this and we can see if it's a good fit. But this growth planning workshop is primarily going to be for 7-figure plus businesses. So if this sounds like you, if you really would love a roadmap for how to be able to scale to 5 million or how to scale to 10 million, we're going to actually go through this in the growth planning workshop. And we're going to actually show you case studies and examples of how other consulting agencies have been able to get to where you want to go. And it'll be an opportunity for you to be working with me and a very small group of other successful CEOs to be able to put together your growth roadmap for 2023. And I would love to be able to work with you in this way if this sounds aligned. So go to handsoffceo.com/workshop if this sounds right for you. And I'll look forward to having you on the workshop if it's right. Otherwise, have a fantastic holiday season as this is coming up. And I will look forward to sharing more with you in our next episode.